Hey guys, this is Slaughter. Hello and welcome to another video. Just a kind of quick one today because I want to talk about something that I've seen discussed a lot on Twitter and YouTube and basically everywhere else Star Wars opinions are shared. Some of these comments are because of the Bad Batch, others because of some leaks we've had about upcoming Star Wars content. And don't worry, before I discuss those, I'll give you guys a good warning. But beyond that, it's just an issue that a lot of people have had with the Star Wars universe for a long time. Is it too small? We've got a universe of billions of planets, a massive galactic spanning government, and it seems like throughout Star Wars history, we've always been running into the same few people. For me, the most egregious example of this probably came from the Star Wars prequels. I mean, Darth Vader having made C-3PO and running into R2-D2, then Yoda personally knowing Chewbacca. It's all a little bit much. The main complaint for those who don't understand is basically that in a universe as big as the Star Wars universe, why are all these people continually running into each other? Are there like 20 people that live there? And when we talk about the Disney era, primarily we have the Bad Batch and the 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, but especially The Mandalorian Season 2. The Bad Batch so far has had us run into Hera, we've seen Fennec Shand from The Mandalorian, then of course if we talk about the Mando Season 2, a lot of Season 2 really was reintroducing characters and largely setting them up for adventures on their own. The best example of that is probably Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, but it was a pretty drastic change in pace from Season 1 where The Mandalorian felt a lot like its own little side story, and then in Season 2 he becomes a much more concrete and important part of this bigger universe. And this feeling probably won't be alleviated anytime soon. If anything, it may get worse because we now have all of these sideshows like the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic if that's still coming out, and others which will see a lot of character crossover. Now I'm also going to talk just a little bit about leaks and spoilers for like a minute. I'll put a Star Wars logo up on the screen. Once that's gone, if you're scrolling through, you'll know that we're away from spoiler territory. But the general rumor is that current and upcoming shows will have a lot more connections, including some like Kenobi, which a lot of people think would be better off without that sort of crossover. In Kenobi, we've had talks and leaks from Jordan Mason specifically about people that we know appearing in the show. One example is Agent Kallus, another is Captain Rex. There's been rumors that Leia will appear in the show. And for the Bad Batch, we've also heard that more character introductions will be made, including Bo-Katan, and to be honest, I would also be incredibly shocked if old animation favorites like Hondo Ohnaka didn't make their way into the show at some point. And there can be the argument that Disney is going way too MCU-style connected universe with all of this. A lot of these characters are having crossover to the point where maybe it doesn't necessarily make sense, at least that's the argument. And you do wonder whether a show like Kenobi could be worse off by not being a sort of contemplative, smaller scale affair. With that being said, let's get back to non-spoiler territory. And this isn't a video where I've got an answer for you. I wanted this to be a sort of discussion that you guys can have in the comments. Personally, is this something that Disney did? Not really. I think this is sort of ingrained in the universe and how George Lucas envisioned it. I mean, I talked about the prequels, and I don't think it's a mistake that things worked out that way, that all of these characters that we know and love from the original trilogy are also very prevalent in the prequel trilogy. Star Wars is not meant to be realistic. It's meant to be the story of these characters, which is ultimately guided by a higher power, i.e. the Force. The issue of whether it bothers you will also be a personal one. For me, I've enjoyed The Mandalorian Season 2 and I've enjoyed The Bad Batch, and these cameos or these inclusions haven't taken that away from me. Like the Luke Skywalker inclusion at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2 is one of my favorite moments of the show. Now, there is of course a point where too much could be too much, and it does seem like Star Wars is really riding these characters from Rebels and the Clone Wars, but I think as long as original stories are still being told and these sort of connections and MCU style storytelling isn't the only thing we're getting in the Star Wars, I will personally be okay. But I also understand the small universe complaints, and I do think they're valid, although I don't necessarily feel that way myself. What about you though? Has the Star Wars universe got too small? Is this something that has bothered you since the prequel trilogy? Or are you more or less cool with it? I kind of think about this another way too. How much of Star Wars is clearly guided by that force, that greater power? I mean, R2-D2 and C-3PO crash on Tatooine and they happen to be captured, then are sold to the person who will become the greatest Jedi in the galaxy and the brother of Princess Leia. I mean, that's not likely, to put it mildly. That being said, the fact that it's a myth isn't a crutch for lazy storytelling in my opinion, and I do worry that we could pass that point in the future. But until next time guys, have a good one, be safe, and may the Force be with you.